even in closed rooms, the things that were suggested yesterday is not appropriate. But to put it on air, it is a scandal, and it reveals the kind of incompetence we are suffering. I mean, again, it's sort of larger than life picture of the incompetence of this regime for the last 10 months, and the incompetence of this majority in the parliament that is really beyond measure. I mean, beyond imagination to see such incompetence.
So it has been 2 years and a half ever since this political turmoil and the continuous uncertainty that most of the Egyptians are living today, and I guess people are expected that beyond the constitution or beyond the presidential elections, things are going to be more or less in a stable form. But it seems that the opposition is refusing a lot of matters and political matters on ground, whether it's correct or not. But the situation also turns to be an uncertain situation with a deteriorating economy and with foreign and domestic relations moving in the bad direction.
Look, whenever I can find something that is vaguely good or competent in the performance of this regime, I immediately say that this was good. For example, the visits of Morsi to Ethiopia and China at the beginning of his term, I openly supported, and we openly supported it. When they come up with a good election law, although there are certain articles that are unconstitutional, the law itself, the election law itself, provides guarantees for a clean election that are unprecedented. So we agree whenever there is something good taking place. But we really are looking for something good to happen in order to be cooperative. Now, we said that a constitution that is not built upon national consensus will not provide stability. They didn't believe us. They said, no, go on, we will do a referendum and we will achieve stability. Do you see stability? Now, this is not stability. Stability will not happen when the judges are not happy, the lawyers are not happy, the journalists are not happy, the labor unions are not happy, the medical union is not happy, the pharmacists are not happy. So how are you going to put a referendum and use oil and sugar to get votes? And of course, we are openly suspicious about the integrity of the referendum itself and the rigging of the referendum. How can you establish stability? I mean, this is not our influence as opposition party. I hope we have this very strong influence, or the influence of the media. This is the natural outcome of bad performance. You cannot build a constitution on no consensus and then expect stability. Constitution itself does not lead to stability.
Do you think opposition political parties is capable to take over the ruling in Egypt?
I think that in the next few months, our ability is to take over is put to stake. I mean, now we are really in the test. We have been preparing portfolios. I have really submitted a portfolio on transitional justice, more or less complete, and even the Brotherhood and Salafists are ready to adopt our approach, and we can reach a consensus on transitional justice, police reform, and other issues. Ziad Bahauddin and Hani Sarieddin and other leaders of the opposition are ready with economic policies that are integrated and plans. We have policies on education, on health reform. We have everything, but we need to build our consensus upon that. We have lots of leaders and experts and people who are able to translate the will of the people into plans and listen to the people and translate what the lawyers want, what the doctors want, what the student unions want, what the labor union wants into plans. Now we need to come together and say these are the routes we have sort of a consensus upon from the whole center-left and center-right parties who form the bloc of the opposition that is that is opposing the religious rights majority taking over right now.
But Doctor, what about the legitimacy of the laws that were discussed by the Shura Council and of course issued after the Constitutional Court ruling? Are they valid?
Anything can come out now. Really, we need more time, and as I said, we need to read the justifications of the ruling itself. Whether I mean, many people are saying yes, the laws will be valid, built upon the principle of the actual employee. You know, this tradition in the constitutions and in the laws. When there is somebody doing the job right now, you have to acknowledge their laws. Other people will say no. Other people will say some of these laws will have to be validated by the House of Representatives. So I think, again, the atmosphere of instability is going on.
So moving to the rebel movement and this initiative, how do you think the results or the outcomes of such a movement will yield to?
I think there are 2 or 3 important outcomes that are already taking place right now. The people in opposition are having an understanding of their size, of their magnitude, because Islamists are saying, you see, these liberals and leftists, they are few people, nobody is with us, is with them. But if you have 7 million signatures right now and going on and going up, really we can reach 15 million, 20 million before 30th of June, and you give them the signatures and say, because they are saying right now somebody is signing in for 16 times. No, you will have the paper and you will have copies and you will be able to check that these are single signatures for people and the numbers are this, and these are the names and ID cards.
But you understand it's just an indication and it's not legally binding.
Not legally binding. No, yes. Not at all. Not legally binding. But it's an indication to ourselves so that people are not faint-hearted and not lose hope that we are few and we will always be run over by strong Islamists with their oil and sugar distribution networks. And number 2 is that it puts a real pressure upon the president. I have said before that if I was in the president's shoes, I would immediately resign, because if I have this scope and range of opposition in front of me in such a revolutionary transitional period, I should resign and ask for either a referendum of me continuing or not, like Charles de Gaulle did, or a new presidential election like many Latin American countries and Eastern European countries presidents have done in similar situations.
Doctor, you've said that a lot of people in Egypt now, a lot of the citizens are not happy, including the journalists and of course the people at the Ministry of Culture, the workers and employees there. Yeah. How would you see the problem of the Ministry of Culture and the Minister of Culture?
I see that culture is an asset to Egypt in the region. That is, I mean, Egyptian movies, Egyptian TV series, Egyptian writers, Egyptian books, songs, music, ballet, opera. I mean, all this is the real fortune of Egypt. I think it is not less important than the Nile itself. And I mean, we have never witnessed a gentleman in this position of this caliber. We have witnessed Abdulkader Hatim, we have witnessed Tharwat Okasha, giants of intellect, Yusuf al-Sibai. Even Farouk Hosni was a true intellect and was a true artist. So Sabr Arab, I mean, these are people who have real contribution to the intellectual field, real intellectual productivity, but we are in front of a gentleman who wasn't qualified to be an associate professor because of lack of research, and who has a case against him accusing him of sexual molestation of one of his students. This is ridiculous. I mean, really, this is. I mean, and now he says, I am into reform and I'm into renewing blood. Renewing blood. He has removed Ines Abdeldaim from leading the opera and asked Rida al-Wakil to take over. Rida didn't accept, of course, because he's a man, he's an artist and he's a man of stature. He cannot do that. And now he has appointed an administrator, a technician, to this position, to this real esteemed position in the world. And you have protests from the Opera of Prague and from the Opera of Paris shutting their doors in solidarity with Opera of Kharat? Do you think that these people are supporting corruption? I mean, this is a scandal, and I really demand that this gentleman is removed and focus on his study and focus on his court case about the sexual molestation, and leave Egyptian culture for people of more ability.
Right. Finally, Dr. Ihab Kharat, Shura Council member, would like to thank you very much for joining us. It has been a great pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's move for a short break and we'll return for more.